Violence and were the reality of the colonial experience, and no wonder that the sun never set on the British Empire, because even God couldn't trust the English in the dark.
As I'm the shadow of death, I take a look at my life and realize there's nothing left.
Nah, that's not something I can hear just once. Let's roll the clip one more time, please.
Violence and were the reality of the colonial experience, and no wonder that the sun never set on the British Empire, because even God couldn't trust the English in the dark.
As I'm the shadow of death, I take a look at my life and realize there's nothing left.
You see that right there? Bars. Fam, can I hear you say bars? Dr. Shashi, please, do you drink? Can somebody please hand Dr. Shashi one bottle of shayo? Dr. Shashi, you talk this one, oh, the shade. It goes with me, I beg, I don't feel like you.
What Britain did was something more important than the occupation of geography and the defeat of politics. What it did was destroyed the confidence of the Asian people and the African people. Who turned Africa into a dark continent? It is a question which I never have found an answer to. There is no more beautiful a continent than Africa, as anyone who comes here finds. But you had to convert it as an image of a barbaric continent which had to be relieved from its own culture, from its own history, from its own. Who created the term witch doctor? As if the medicine, which was a part of the cultural history or of the history of Africa, was part of witchcraft. We have been taught the language of subservience. We have been taught to hate ourselves. In order to create the other, in order to create a rationale for power and for empire building, you had to convert the Asian people and the African people into a slothful, backward burden upon the world, the white man's burden of Rudyard Kipling. Gandhi used to say it all the time, that long before you can defeat that white man who has come to defeat us, you have to find yourself again. You have to find your confidence and your courage again.
It's crazy the various terminologies that were created deliberately to berate, to belittle, and to dehumanize the African people. I remember when I first heard the term the Dark Continent. I was still in secondary school. When I heard that term, I was like, the Dark Continent, where is that? Like, I didn't even know it was the Africa I was living in that was, being referred to as the Dark Continent. But eventually I found out, right? And I also remember how confused I was when I found out that the Dark Continent they were talking about was Africa, where I live in, right? As a secondary schooler, I was like, what do they mean the Dark Continent is Africa? What does that mean? I was like, is it possible these people think the sun probably doesn't shine here? What do they mean the Dark Continent is Africa? It made no sense to me. I think I was about 15, 16 thereabouts, and I could not understand why they would refer to Africa like that. But the more I started reading into history, I understood the perspective and the the mindset of these people. Another term for me is the term the third world, because how the hell do you go out, subdue people across Africa, across the Americas, in Asia, and then you use their resources, both human and natural resources, and let's not forget the parts where you stole from them as well. These are people across Africa, across Asia, across the Americas who never needed you for anything. They wanted nothing that you had. As a matter of fact, you had nothing, so you had nothing that they would want. They had everything they needed. They've been living just fine for thousands upon thousands of years. And then you come from nowhere, disrupt their system they had going, subdue them, enslave them, colonize them, steal from them, use them to build yourself up. And then you come back around and say you are the first world and they are the third world people. And not only did you subdue these people in the past, you are still subduing them till this day. You put systems in place to make sure that they never rise up, so you continuously profit off of them, even though colonization ended, right? That's what they like to tell us, that colonization ended. There are terms you would never hear me use, and the third world is one of them. As a matter of fact, if I would even use that term at all, it would be in reference to the Europeans. Because if we are going to be honest here, the Western world would not be what it is today if they had not done all the heinous things that they did to put themselves in the position that they are now. And that's why when I think of the third world, I think of Europe. And this is why I am very much passionate about changing the narrative of our people, because the amount of lies about us that has been made staple truth is insane. But unfortunately, some of our people have bitten so deep into their false narrative. It's insane how they now internalize all of these things. So it has now affected how they see themselves as individuals and how they see us as a people in general. And this is why you start to see, the self-hating in some of our people. If you look deep into the main reason why some people are so anti themselves and so anti us, it's because of these things that they have internalized. So like this fine gentleman said, we have to find our confidence again. We have to find love for ourselves again. We have to find a way to embrace ourselves and come to the understanding that there was never nothing wrong with us to begin with.
So the question for me becomes, who controls how you think? We have the ability to create our own structures, our own theories, our own definitions of reality, to look at the African worldview, to look at, for instance, the Dogon people, to look at the Kemetic people, to look at our own people who have, even look at Carter G. Woodson, for instance, the miseducation of the Negro, which I don't think was really ever understood by us, and to use these things as inspirations for the building of institutions, the creation of things, the building our own buildings. We have the ability to do that. So it's almost like we've been conditioned so well through such a long process that now it is us who are enslaving ourselves mentally.
Because the job has already been...
The job has been done. It would be so easy, in one sense, for us to undo it. That's what I'm saying in this book. Because the way the system of European control works is that you have to accept a concept of reality which makes them superior.
They tell us about you guys, and they tell us about the Queen of England, and they tell us about Lord Lugard, who came to... They tell us a bunch of stuff that has no significance to us, that shows us that we have no power and we are inferior to these people. They don't teach us that. This is not how it always was. Some people came here and lied to you and took the crown off your head and told you that you were a slave when really they met you as a king.